Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to a brand new Star Wars Legends lore video. So, just as a note, there will be some very light spoilers for the rise of Skywalker in this video. Now, almost everything comes from the visual guide rather than the movie itself, and the visual guides typically don't give too much away. However, we will be talking broadly about lore, world building, and also what Palpatine's been up to, so if you want to go in with a completely fresh slate, watch the movie first. Anyway, the visual guide reveals that Palpatine has been creating a final order, at the heart of which is the Sith Eternal, powered by Sith cultists and followers of Sith teachings. The Sith fleet, the Sith troopers, all of that is part of Palpatine's final order, and the Sith Eternal. Now, a lot of this is actually very interesting and ties in with sort of old Jedi lore. We get mentions of planets like Ziost and Malachor, and much, much more. I really recommend you guys read this book yourself, and normally I wouldn't even do a video like this on small details in a book without extra analysis, but because it's so hard to find the visual guide right now, all of the chapters in my city and the other bookstores were all sold out, that I thought I should bring this information to you because a lot of people will be excited. Anyway, one of the revelations was that the Sith troopers are divided into companies of 5,000 and given the names of Sith. Now, most don't know that these refer to Sith because that knowledge has been long lost within the galaxy, but some of the more hardcore Sith adherents, as well as us of course the reader, do. We get legions named after Revan, Undedu, Tanis, Tenebris, Phobo, and Desolus. Now, if you're a Star Wars Legends fan, many of these names will jump out at you, and in fact, all of them but one were Sith, which appeared in Legends. The two most notable to me are certainly Revan and Tenebris, but I think I'll give you guys the backstory of all of them. However, it's very, very important for you to realize that just because characters with the same name are being canonized, that does not mean the entire history of the character was recanonized. For example, Thrawn was brought into Star Wars canon, but Heir to the Empire, the book in which he first appeared, was not. He has a different backstory, he will die in a different way, and basically canon is free to take any aspect of his character from Legends while ignoring other parts, and that goes down to the details. So if the character called Revan is revealed to have a Jedi lover, for example, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's Bastila. And even if it was, some details would be different. Regardless, let's take a look at the Sith here, and first of all, we have Revan. Honestly, Revan's backstory and lore is so expansive that I'm not even going to try to cover it in this video, and there are dozens on YouTube that do so, but Revan has an interesting history as both a Jedi and a Sith Lord. He touched both the light and the dark side of the Force, and of course starred in the Knights of the Old Republic game. Ultimately though, he was redeemed, at least in Legends, but I do wonder whether that's going to happen to his character in canon, given the fact that his name is being used to represent a Sith Legion. That being said, even in Legends, after his return to the light side, he's still highly revered among Darksiders. The next most notable name here, I think, is Tenebris. Tenebris was the master of Plagueis in Star Wars Legends, which, if canon chooses to maintain that information, would make him Palpatine's Great Master, I guess? Grand Master? Either way, in the book Plagueis, he's a pretty interesting character, although he dies early on. We learn that he was all about using computers and algorithms to try to predict the future. He saw the Sith taking over by projecting the downfall of the Republic, then swooping in at the appropriate time and sort of quietly setting up Sith rule. Plagueis totally disagreed with this. He thought the Sith had to be more aggressive, and by the time he killed his master, he thought there was very little that Tenebris could teach him. Besides for the novel Plagueis, Tenebris also appears in the Tenebris Way, which makes his fairly simple death much more complicated. Basically, we learned that through Bith medicine, and yeah, I said Bith, not Sith, as well as some dark side powers, he made his way into the cells of Plagueis' body. However, with basically nothing to do but think, he realizes that he's going insane, and it's a very strange story, but I highly recommend you check it out. It's short as well. Next up, we have Undedu. And I say it like that because that's how the Plagueis audiobook does. Undedu, or Andedu as the name would suggest, was a Sith Lord highly concerned with not dying, extending life. Through his practice in Legends, he invented the Essence Transfer ability, which is actually what Palpatine used to escape permanent death and enter a clone body after being killed on the second Death Star. Undedu also appeared in the Legacy era, but was probably best known for his holocrons filled with knowledge. which serve as plot devices for various stories. Next we have Phobos and Desolus, both Sith which I actually had to look up. Now that's because strangely they only appear in certain versions of The Force Unleashed. I had the Xbox version, so never encountered them, but basically they were ancient Sith Lords who died a few thousand years before Yavin, but were then made into simulations for training Jedi to practice against. Why they were tied into new canon, I'm not sure yet, but it's certainly an interesting connection. Finally, we have Tanis. Tanis has not appeared to my knowledge in Star Wars Legends or canon before this point, but she's mentioned as building the superweapon on Malachor, which is presumably the one we see in Star Wars Rebels. So that's that. Various old legend Sith returning to canon, but with their backstories still unknown. It all makes me excited, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Are you happy that old Sith are making their way into canon? What would you like to see remain the same about their stories? What changed? Let me know all of that and more down in the comment section. By the way, a couple of hours after this goes live, I will be doing my live review of Star Wars Episode 9, so if you're interested in that, keep tuned and keep an eye open. Till next time though guys, have a great day. May the Force be with you.